is ready for further trade talks whenever the United States is ready, after President Donald Trump announced that he was ending negotiations over an anti-tariff advertising campaign. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney made this statement before departing for Asia. Earlier, Donald Trump terminated all trade talks with Canada after taking issue with an anti-tariff advertisement sponsored by the Canadian province of Ontario. The ad featured quotes from former President Ronald Reagan criticising tariffs, which Trump called fake and egregious behaviour. Following Trump's announcement, Ontario Premier Doug Ford said the province would pause the ad campaign to allow trade talks to resume. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump, while departing for the Asia trip, said that he has no intention to meet with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney during the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur, and that he's disappointed in Canada. However, the primary agenda of Carney's trip is to forge new trade and security alliances to reduce Canada's economic reliance on the United States. Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to meet ASEAN leaders along with the leaders of South Korea and Japan. Let's listen in to some of his statements.
And we stand ready to pick up on that progress and build on that progress when the Americans are ready to have those discussions, because it will be for the benefit of workers in the United States, workers in Canada, and families in both of our countries.
Let's move south for our next story, where Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has accused the US of fabricating a war after it sent the world's largest warship towards the Caribbean in a major escalation of its military buildup in the region. Maduro has reacted to the situation. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Se están inventando una nueva guerra eterna. Prometieron que más nunca se metían en una guerra y se están inventando una guerra que nosotros vamos a evitar. ¿Con qué? Nadie les cree lo que dicen, pero no pudieran decir que Maduro y Venezuela tenemos armas de destrucción masiva. No se han atrevido a decirlo, por lo menos. No pueden decir que estamos construyendo un arma nuclear. No pueden decir que tenemos misiles apuntando a las ciudades de Estados Unidos. No lo pueden decir.
Meanwhile, the United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered the USS Gerald R-4 aircraft carrier, which can carry up to 90 aircrafts, to move from the Mediterranean. The US has been increasing in its military presence in the Caribbean, sending warships, a nuclear submarine and F-35 aircrafts to the region. We have some further news from the situation, where the US Defense Secretary has also said that the US carried out another strike on a vessel allegedly operated by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua that was trafficking drugs in the Caribbean Sea. The Defense Secretary has stated that the strike killed all 6 men who were on board and took place in international waters. He added that it is the first strike that took place at night. Hegseth also highlighted the 2 other strikes that took place on Tuesday and on Wednesday, both of which took place in the Eastern Pacific, and called them as designated terrorist organizations. He did not offer any evidence of what the loot was on board. We now are joined by Shruti Dasgupta. She is an international affairs expert, and she joins us live from New Delhi. Shruti, let's first start with that huge warship, the aircraft carrier, the biggest in the world, can carry up to 90 aircraft on board. A huge provocation, you can call it that, certainly. What are your thoughts on this, and what is Venezuela expected to do about it, if anything?
Well, you're very right, Thomas. Greetings to you and your viewers. It's such a big movement, is an aggressive posturing in a military capacity by one of the world's largest economies. And it should scare anybody, because specifically a nation of the size of Venezuela This warship is a stance of intimidation to show them that if you do not bow to whatever they ask of you, you shall face military consequences and a direct regime change. So for me, this particular movement is alarming because it shows that no matter how much criticism is coming through towards USA for its actions via various countries, it is not deterred from its summary execution of various boats that they claim to have drugs being used to transport drugs with. So it is very sad that a nation like USA is now revealing its really bully side, where towards a nation which is very, very small in comparison to it in terms of military or economy. So I think this should tell the world that US will stop at nothing, and the UN does not have any teeth in the game because it is unable to control any economy from destroying the other, any nation from hurting the other. And I would love to see some sanctions coming down on USA for something like this.
Yeah, and Shruti, of course, this is not the first time this has happened. We've seen on social media the US and the Pentagon release more images of the US sending a missile and blowing up one of these boats. 6 people killed in this incident. Once again, no evidence offered, and what cargo was on board. The US have claimed that the men on board of this was part of the Trenda Aragua gang, but once again, we have no evidence of it. Is there any responsibility, any international body that can hold the US accountable here?
I wish there was, because the UN reports themselves show that Venezuela, although a transit corridor, is not a nation responsible for USA's drug problems. Now, I would love for USA to answer why it's not shooting boats off its own coasts. Why does it have to wade into international waters and then shoot down one particular nation's boats? I'm sure there are more nations, specifically Mexico, Colombia, who are sending boats across through the Pacific. Why are they not shooting down those boats within US waters? They don't do so because in a recent interview by a US representative, they said 25% of the time they are wrong about the assumption of which boat is carrying what cargo. So if right now, hypothetically, 40 people as claimed are dead because of US execution in international waters, at least 10 of them were innocent. Beyond sending this Gerald Ford US Marine ship, they're also going to hold a military exercise in Trinidad and Tobago, and that is just off the coast of Venezuela. Tell me how this is not putting pressure on a nation to bow to what USA wants, despite the fact that Venezuela is under US sanctions, and in August of this year, they have worked out a trade deal and Venezuela oil has started to flow into USA again. So I don't understand what they truly want out of Venezuela until unless it's a complete reversal of its socialist economy, which is under Chavez and then now Maduro being conducted, a nationalization of assets which they want to reverse. Until unless that particular intent is their actual goal, I don't see their actions actually stopping the drug problem of USA or even being justified under any national or international law.
Shruti Dasgupta, thank you. Always a pleasure to talk to you on these issues. Here on NewsX World, of course, we will bring you all the updates on that escalating situation between the United States and Venezuela. Well, that is all that we have time for this hour, but keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world. Thank you.